everyone. This is Marina with How I Got Here, and today we have a very important guest to me. I guess it's an exclusive interview with my oldest sister, who's always like a mother to everybody. And thank you so much for joining me, Miss Yelena Kalendarova, CEO of Aneley Cosmetics. Thank you so much again. This is an honor. I never thought I would actually do this with my oldest sister. Okay, so again, this for those of you who don't know, my channel is about inspiration. My channel is about for those people who have persevered no matter what in their life and had overcome a lot. And I, as your sister, one of your sisters, actually know what you have gone through in your life in order to be where you are today. You know, everybody keeps asking me, how does she do it? You know, a mother of beautiful, 4 beautiful children, an amazing husband. Also, if you don't mind me mentioning, you're living a religious lifestyle. So
proud, very proud.
Exactly. No, as long as you're happy, that's all that matters. And you're also running a home-based business of your natural makeup line, and you're also a makeup artist. And your journey to be where you are today has not been easy, but obviously, when it's easy, it's not something that you should be proud of, because when it kind of feels like, it's handed to you. So I don't think people actually appreciate when it's as simple as it sounds, right? So when people ask me, how does she do it? My response is usually, well, she's a very hard worker. She believes in what she does. And at the end of the day, she has a partner in life that supports her. And that's important because, your life is never steady. People never stay in one spot. When you started in this industry, I remember you never took a day off. You just became a
workaholic.
I know, every day I would see you just throw yourself on the bed and, you were just knocked out. And people do not know that about you. And I know that at the end of the day, hard work does pay off. And here we are years later. Right. So a little background. Miss Aneley Cosmetics was once Elma's beauty salon. And it's been, I guess a road to success when we all as a family were so proud of you that you had at a very young age opened up your own salon. And it was a pretty successful, I guess, location. And also because I think you loved it so much, it was, like you said, your baby. Was meaning, do I mention that story as well?
Now resting in peace.
Rest in peace to
I'll tell you about it. I'll tell you about it.
But listen, go ahead and tell us your journey, and most importantly, what were your obstacles or your thoughts in the very beginning of your journey? Because I know you used to say your friend Lilia Shaulova called you and she said, Yelena, drop everything. I believe in you. Let's do this. And I know that you told her, I don't think I can, even though you love makeup since
the beauty industry, go into cosmetology. Yeah,
right. You loved it more than anything. I think all your pictures were all about, it wasn't just a regular picture. It was a lot more than that to you. So you embraced it, but I think the right people came into your life and pushed you, but you listened to them. So let's start with that. How did it all begin? What were your thoughts about it? How did you feel about it? And bring us to Aneley Cosmetics.
Well, first of all, thank you for having me. It is a pleasure to be on your channel. I am actually really excited for you and what you're doing.
You.
I think that people kind of disregard the making, how did it happen, right? So I do a lot of interviews and I do a lot of talks, and most people just want to know, how did you get here? How did you get here? But they don't really understand that the question, how did you get here, is so deep and has so much weight that in a 15, 20, 30-minute interview, it is not really something you can answer. So I like to kind of divert the interview into like the most important things that I've learned. With you on your channel, and I watch what, your interviews with other people, and I think they're very inspiring. You have a little different approach to it, and I really appreciate that, and I'll explain why. You know, a lot of people think it's a success overnight. I know that people think that way, and it may look like that because professionals usually make it look easy, right? We get on social media, it's like we were born and we just with the phone in our hands and we're just going live as soon as we like came out of our mother's womb. Actually, that's not the case, right? I mean, I probably did, but I probably did. I'm not going to be surprised. I'd say, get off. This isn't how you do it, right?
Right.
But, you know, I'm going to go back to the root. Obviously, we can't discuss every detail because it's impossible. You have to live it, right? But there are certain things that would stand out, and maybe, just maybe, and I think this is the whole point of your channel, Marina, is that some people will say, oh, wow, that I can resonate with. That makes sense to me. Okay, that is totally me. I can do it. If she, like, certain things will click, and that's the whole point of your channel, right? So going back to Elmis, actually, not a lot of people, very small amount of people know it because it was so long ago. I was 24 when I finished cosmetology. How did I get to cosmetology? Is my friend Lilia, who she just mentioned, she's now Maksumova, so the people actually know who she is. Okay. She called me. I was in the business. I actually finished school for mental health and human services. Oh my God, I know. And I loved the concept of psychology. But when I started to do internships, I realized how boring it was for me personally, because I was so creative. And I'm the kind of person, I actually wanted to become a behavioral social worker, because I wanted, like, when a person comes with a problem, I had a solution. Like, I just wanted to tell them, hello, this is what you need to do. But I couldn't do that because there were so many different laws and regulations associated with it. I was like,
approaches.
I can't because it's like a one-way street, and I'm a talker and I have a lot of feedback and I just want to have it. So I went into the business. I went into a different college and I went into a business industry, and I said, oh my God, accounting classes are what's going to kill me. And I know, Marina, you finished accounting and you finished your bachelor's in a business. So you survived it, but I couldn't do it. My cousin Maria was helping me with accounting. I was like, I can't, this is not for me. It's ridiculous. Lilia called me, and I was working for a nonprofit organization, and I was doing their red carpet events. And which is funny how I got here already I was already doing similar. Right. And so she calls me up and she's like, what are you doing? Go become a cosmetologist. I said, the cosmetologist said, yeah, you're going to do hair. And I said, ew, I'm not touching anybody's hair. You remember how much of a diva I was? Yes. Me and Marina went to spas. We went to hair salons. We went to body scrubs. We lived, right? Yeah. We lived. Irina, she was not like that. I don't know why. I mean, it's not like, did we ever invite her? Oh my God, she's not watching, right? No, we did. It wasn't her thing, which is fine. But Marina and I, we lived. We bought stuff. We lived for ourselves. And so for me to do someone else's hair was like, that's never going to happen. And she called every single day for a month. And then one day I said, okay, just to get her off my back, I'm going to go to the school. She said, wow. One. Just, you know, Lilia, she's very pushy, right? And I was so tired one evening. I called the school. I said, could I just come in for like, I just want to look around, whatever. They said, sure, no problem. So I walk into the school and I'm like, okay, whatever. We're going through one class to the next. And then we walk into the last floor where the cosmetologists, future cosmetologists, are about to graduate. Mm-hmm. Marina, you don't understand. What they did with hair and makeup
inspired you.
It blew me away. I have no other word to describe it. There was glitter, there was color, there was loud music. It was like, I'm like, oh my God, this is the most creative thing ever. This is cosmetology. I want it. So you know, once I make a decision, no one is going to stop me. No one. It's a dangerous and also a really phenomenal trait, depending on who you are. And
a gift and a curse.
Yeah, it's a gift and a curse. So I happen to use it for a good. So I quit my job. The next day, I told them that my schedule changed, blah, blah, blah. I wanted to be out. I registered for class. I registered for school. I gave them $100 deposit. I went back. I told my parents. My parents thought I was nuts. You know, Bukharian real high-end Russian parents, because
What?
you're gonna go from a psychologist to a barber. I was like, it's not a barber, it's a cosmetologist. It's like PhD in beauty. No, we're against it. So I said, I don't care, I'm going. So obviously it was $13,500. And I was like, oh my God. So I took a loan for $13,500. The savings that I did have, I think maybe I had $10,000 savings. What I did was I bought jewelry with it, and I wore it on my wedding, and I wore it on my that first Sheva Bracha on Shabbat. I wore it. It was a beautiful 2 diamond necklaces. It was stunning with earrings, but that's what I wanted to do. I was so tired. I just wanted to let go of my previous life, I guess you could say, in terms of profession. And I started my brand new journey. My parents were kind of looking at me, especially my dad. He was like, I don't know what you're doing. You have so much potential. Why are you doing this? I was like, okay, cool, whatever. So I continued doing it. Towards the end of my journey in school, I got to the point where I was doing so much the creativity started flowing, and I started winning competitions, hair competitions. So my dad was like, oh, wow, okay, this girl, I guess, has some potential. And I was like, all right. And then I got job offers from multiple salons in Manhattan. Okay. And I got a job in one of very small salons in Greenwich Village. It was called Donna McNally Salon, and I love her dearly. She was my one and only boss in this industry. A year later, my dad, so I was assistant there, right? This is a Cinderella story. And then I became, I did more already. I did extensions, and we did straightening systems. So I was growing. And then my dad, we found the salon, one of my actually really good friends now, she's in a holistic field, she's a naturopath. She said, Yelena, there's a salon for sale in Bay Ridge. You should totally have it. And I said, no, I can't do anything on my own. I'm an assistant. And for 3 months, this is how universe works, you know? For 3 months, she kept calling my parents. She kept calling me. This was another version of Lilia in my life, right? So Lilia pushed me into the beauty industry. Natalia from, what's her business? Temple of Wellness. She kept calling and calling and calling. She said, this is a great opportunity. Let her do it. I was like, there's no way. So in order to get the salon, the key money, if you guys know what it is, you know, to buy the space, it was $20,000. So my father said, listen, try it. If you fail, you fail. If you will not fail, you'll be successful. This was a big change for me because I never worked for myself. I worked for others. And so I was 24 years old at the time. And I said, okay, fine. So he got me the salon and I started to work. I butchered hair. I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. And my dad is like, just keep going. So he actually gave me that push, that opportunity. And I understand that this may be a privilege for a lot of people. It's not always that way, but don't take this out of context, because there's always an opportunity that you can take that doesn't necessarily have to cost you.
There's always a lesson.
There's always something that you can do in order to take that step. Because for me, that was a huge step, because I didn't feel like I was a stylist, a hairdresser, to actually own and run a business. So I became an entrepreneur, I became a business owner, and I started growing the business. A year later, so this was 2008, 2009, July 29th, I remember it like yesterday, 4 a.m., my landlord at the time, and he had a very Greek heavy accent, he calls me and he says, Elena, everything is blown up, like on fire, everything is on the floor. And I was just like, wait, what? I walk into my parents' room, I can't even speak. And I just said, Elmis was the name of the salon, and I named it after myself and my siblings' first letters. Right. And then, yeah, Marina, you were there too. And so my father was like, what's going on? And my mom started crying, and my dad was like, what happened? I said, Elmis burned down. And my father goes, Mazal tov. Because
what the hell? I'm about to start. Look, I even have tears because that was a baby.
It was a big deal. And I'm really kind of translating it very lightly, but it was such a pivotal moment in my life.
Of course.
It was huge disaster, and I felt like I'm a failure, and I felt like I even had suicidal thoughts because I thought my life is over.
Yeah.
I was 25 at the time, and it was traumatic. It was really traumatic. I felt like there's nothing in this world that will permanently stay.
But the way he called you, he just like put a bomb, right?
Murdered me.
Like,
Yeah.
what?
Yeah.
4 in the morning.
He killed me. He destroyed me. And so my father is very positive. I think I learned a lot of positivity from him, you know that. And so when he said Mazal Tov, right, he didn't mean it like he was happy that the salon burned down. He just wanted me to feel like it's okay. It's part of life. It's a next stage, which taught me a big lesson over time, not to take things personal, because physical things, they come and go, right? So we go there and we drive there, and I see like 4 different fire trucks, and it was like something 5 a.m. and news channel was there. Was a 4-alarm fire. The whole building burned down. Right. And I walk in and I'm shaking, and I want to walk inside, you know, Elmis, but they're not letting me. The fire department, this channel asking me questions, and I'm trying to tell them, and I'm crying and I'm nervous. So my dad at the time had his barbershop, and it was maybe like a year old. He got it maybe 1 or 2 years before this. And he said, listen, I have so many women customers that need their hair done, but I don't have that service. I only do men, because it's a religious salon and you have men and women separate. And I said, I don't know. So I go there, and it looked like a dungeon, that area for women. I don't know, Marina, if you remember it, but it looked like a storage room. So I look around, I was like, you know what, I'm going to remake it. Right. We took everything out, we broke everything. I would say it took about 4 months from this tragedy to me actually clearing out the space. Meanwhile, about 2 weeks, I was really down, really down. And then after 2 weeks, I said, I cannot do this. I remember. I said, I cannot just sit here and feel sorry for myself. I printed out resumes. I went to Manhattan, and I went to different salons. Since I already knew what I was doing, and I knew my strengths, I was choosing where I want to be. At the time, there was a person in Elmis that would supply all the shampoos and conditioners, right? And he had a salon in Manhattan. So he told me, Elena, I see what you did with the place. I want you to come to work with me. And it was right by the World Trade Center. And I was like, I don't know, let me see. So I went over there, and I really liked the place. And I said, fine, cool. So I started working there. At the same time, I was growing the business at my dad's place, right? So then I meet my husband. And obviously he's, if you guys know, whoever knows, he's a religious man, right? And I've never dated anybody religious. So I didn't even think this was gonna work out. And at the same time, I started doing backstage hair for models for different shows, and I really loved it. And literally every single show that I did was on Saturday. So the stylists would come in at like 3 o'clock, 2 o'clock, depending on when we need to be there, on Saturday, on Shabbat, right? And so when I met him, he said, and we started, you know, it was getting serious. He said, you know, I would really appreciate it if you didn't work on Saturday. It's totally up to you. Like, he was never pushy. Right. I guess he already figured me out that if you push me, I'm going to literally do exactly that. And I said, you know what? He's such an incredible person. I'm okay with that. I'm all right with that. So I had to make another decision. I don't like the word sacrifice, because sacrifice sounds like I was forced to do something. I made a choice. It was not an easy choice, because I was in love with backstage. You had 50 models right outside. You're doing their hair. It's like 5-minute thing. They're changing their dresses into a different outfit, and then you redoing the hair. It was like, I loved it. So I said, fine, no problem. You know, like, I'm okay with that. As we were going out and things were changing at that salon, I was also working on Saturdays. So obviously I had to quit working on Saturdays just so that I can kind of get used to Shabbat, and because this was going to be our life in the future. We get married, and I get pregnant with our first baby. And about 7 months into it, we get into a little car accident, and I'm supposed to be on bed rest. And I was like, oh my God. It's like these things don't end, you know, like there's always a cut, a sharp turn that I have to take, and I have to roll with it. So within a span of like a year and a half, I already had gotten rid of the salon, right? The universe just keeps like throwing me around, and I'm like, can I get a breather? Can I just like, I don't understand. And I'm loving what I'm doing. So here I am sitting at home, and I'm supposed to be on bed rest, and my husband was doing real estate. We weren't like financially phenomenal, right? Not yet. And so my income was really important as well. So I'm sitting at home, and my husband's like, just relax, just don't do anything, relax, sleep, do whatever you need to do, I'm good. But me, I was like, I can't do that, this is crazy. So I was about to leave the beauty industry. I'm sitting here on a couch, I'll never forget, it was like June or July, and I'm like with this giant stomach, and I'm like, what am I gonna do? Who's gonna take, I could go and work anywhere, I'm gonna go sit or have a sitting job. You know how it is, like when you hit that point. And then I'm like, God, I need a sign, because I opened my laptop and I was like looking for a job as a secretary, and I'm thinking, who's gonna take a pregnant girl? Who is going to take a pregnant girl? And I started crying, and I was alone at home, and I was like, I need a sign. Do I leave the beauty industry or not? I just need a sign, God. And I get a phone call from a client in Borough Park where I worked with my dad. And she said, hey, my family is coming from Brazil, and I need to book a few dates to do their hair and nails for weddings. And I was like, I booked 6 dates for these people to do weddings. And I was like, oh my God, I have my sign. And I stayed in the beauty industry. And it was like, that was a pivotal moment for me, because you either make it or break it at that moment. Mm-hmm. At the same time, to back it up a little bit, when I was at Elmis, to lead to Aneley, right? I was doing facials for a lot of women who were in corporate, right? They would come in sometimes during lunch and just do a little wax or facials, and they would ask for makeup, to apply makeup on. And I said, you're really not supposed to apply anything after these kinds of cosmetic treatments, because it can interfere with the treatment, it can irritate the skin. And obviously for these kinds of women, they really had to come in and be in and out and go back to their meetings. So I started Googling. I said, okay, which company out there can I bring into the salon so that I can give it to the customers? And I couldn't find anything. So at that time, I started going to trade shows. Remember, I went to one, to another, to another. I went to Florida, to Premierland. I went everywhere. So that's when this is when the problem kind of presented itself, right? Now, back to today. I am working in the beauty industry. I did not leave the beauty industry because I got my sign. And so, but now I'm working in my dad's place, but I made it my own, like a women's salon. So that was my space. That's where I was working, and I was thriving because I did my own hours. I was fine. If I needed to rest, I rested. Time went by. We had our child, the first one. The second one we had back to back. My first 2 are back to back. They're 12 months apart. And when my older one was 1.5, Benji, and my Jonathan was 6-month-old, I have this other trade show coming up, and I'm registered. I'm excited. There's going to be chemists there, and I'm just like, wow, it's already a couple of years into it. My husband decides, he's a basketball player. He's always played basketball, and he's like, I'm going to my boys. You remember that? It was like me 9th or something. I remember all these dates. It's crazy. And he goes to play, and I was like, Daniel, nothing will sabotage me going to this event. I'm done playing with universe. I am not making, like, I don't care what's happening. Tomorrow I'm going. Please don't go and play. My husband's like, don't worry, everything's gonna be fine. You know, Dana, everything's gonna be fine. Don't worry, trust God. I was like, listen, I warned you, right? If something happens, I am going. Fine, cool. He went to play with his boys. Yep. Around 11 o'clock, he comes home with a fractured foot. His friends are carrying him. And I was like, I'm going to my show. I warned you. You know, I blew up. I was like, all of this built up emotion over the years of everything that's been happening exploded at that moment. I started crying. I started like lashing out. I was screaming. I was like, I can't believe this happened. I don't care. I'm still going. My husband was like, I didn't even say anything. Like, go. It's just, but he understood that pain. It's even hard to remember that moment, because you know, when you're trying so hard to create something and things just kind of get thrown your way, and you're like, no, I still have to get there. I still have to get there, right? And so I go to that trade show the next day. I left him alone. He had a cast on. He went to the hospital that night. They put a cast on him. It was a fractured foot. He's in pain. And I said, I'm still gonna go. I'm not compromising anymore. I'm done. So he's home with 2 babies. 1.5-year-old. Only Elena has the guts to do it. No one else on the planet will do it, because Bukharian families, my mom always sacrificed for the family, my grandparents, it's just the way it is in our culture. And it's not that they couldn't do it. It's just that sometimes you don't have enough guts to push through.
You feel guilty, you shouldn't do it.
Yeah, you feel bad, you feel horrible, you feel so many emotions. And I said, I don't care, I'm going. So I go to this, event, and guess what? That was the day that I met my chemist. It's like the universe was like, I'm gonna get you to your destination, and I don't care what you have to do. If the salon has to burn down, then the salon will burn down. If you need to get into an accident to stay home, then you stay and get an accident, you're gonna stay home. If you need to marry a man who keeps Shabbat, because I don't want you to work 24/7 like a lunatic, then that's what I'm gonna do. I didn't realize that all those things led me to something bigger.
It's called divine timing.
Divine intervention, right? And so because of this, because of that it's little time-wise, because it was a span of like 2 years, but in reality, it felt like 3 lifetimes I had to live through.
Of course.
You had to fight through things, right? I mean, I had little kids. Benji drove me up the wall. It wasn't easy. Whoever knows what, whoever has kids back to
He was on a monkey bar all day long.
He was the monkey. He was a little monkey. And God, I love this kid to pieces. He's 11 years old now. It will be 12 soon, God willing, And I'm a very involved mom. My husband is a very involved dad. So for us, it wasn't easy also in that way, because we spent a ton of time with our children. We sent them to daycare, but I picked them up from daycare. Every single day, I would stop working at 4 o'clock and I would pick them up. I would leave the job at 5 o'clock. I would pick them up, come home, sit with them, play with them, how to feed them. Yeah. So I had to really compress the timing, just because I wanted my children to not even know that I'm working. I want them to fully know the parents. My husband working until 8 o'clock. Obviously, when he came home, I was so tired already from being with kids. You know how they scream and yell and whatever. I would hand the kids over and I just had to doze off. So as the time came, there were other things that in our lives, because obviously my husband then became a broker, and it's like things just started rolling for us. You know how when you're trying everything to be the center of your universe is your family, things just flourish. It's amazing how these things happen. As I was doing things for my husband's, religious ways and for our family, my husband at the same time was doing a lot of things for me, because he wanted to obviously be even more religious, but because he wasn't running with the speed of life. He said, you know what, we are a family, we're together, and you've done so much for me, I want to do stuff for you. And so
it's important that he understood it and appreciated it.
Yes, it was so important. And I have to say, a lot of times people just brush it off to like, oh my God, that's because you have such a great husband. That's not because I have such a great husband. It's because me and him, even though we're both leaders, we made a decision to work together.
Compromise.
And not only compromise, it's like sometimes I have so many, like before COVID, I had so many events. We did red carpet, we did Golden Globes. It was so much going on. I was flying from one event to another event.
Remember,
he held down the house,
right?
He had open houses, and when he needed to study for his broker's exam, I held down the house. Doesn't matter, like, you have to figure out ways to be mature about your relationship. Having children, and we thank God have 4 right now, having that base where your mind is not on the money, it's on how much time can I spend with my children? How can I, pivot my business so that I can spend more time with my spouse, whoever that is, your partner, right? And the same thing for him. Do we have, altercations? And everybody does. Emotions can fly because we are really, hold on, it's blurry. You'll cut that out. Because emotions, they can fly, and especially in such a crazy industry that I am in, the beauty industry. And, sometimes you could get carried away. Those of you that are in the beauty industry, how much time and effort it takes to grow, because it's an oversaturated field. There's a lot of competition. And the funny part is, Marina, a lot of people, when I started out on the cosmetics and I brought in the foundations, right? And then I brought in the lipsticks and whatever, as the company was growing, people used to tell me, why are you selling water in the ocean? Do you remember what I used to tell them? I used to say, well, I'm selling filtered water in the ocean. I always said that. And, you know, because first of all, you can't drink ocean water. If you really get technical, it's just really not safe. But to me, it wasn't really about the lipstick. It was never about the lipstick. It was about solving a problem. So women that came to me to do facials and to do waxing, they wanted to apply makeup immediately. So that means the makeup had to be anti-inflammatory, because some of the people, especially the lightest colors and sensitive skin, it gets really red and inflamed, right? So you want to calm the skin down. Also, it has to promote the healing process. So there were so many intricate things. And I'll never forget when I met the chemist, and I was already like, I don't know, it was like 2 years of searching and I was giving up almost. And I said to the chemist, it was like the last moments of the show. You guys know when you go to these shows, last day of the show, and I come up to this small little boutique, you know, table, and I say, I'm looking for something like this. And he goes, oh, you need pharmaceutical grade minerals. And I was like, what is that? Okay, whatever it is, I want to know more. And basically the rest is history. What is this? What does Aneley, how did Aneley even come around? Aneley, first of all, it's my name backwards for those of you that didn't figure it out, or maybe you figured it out. It's my name backwards. I never in my life thought I'm going to have a makeup company. It was never, you know, that I thought I'm going to be in the beauty industry. I thought I'm going to do hair for the rest of my life. God had a different plan. And the reason why I'm here, and thank God in a good marriage, is because I listened to all the cues.
Exactly.
I embraced every single giant and small hill on the road. And a lot of times, you know, people could give up, especially the first year of business. I remember when I just launched Aneley, I was supposed to have a website. My husband and I invested $5,000 into custom-made website, and it wasn't ready for the launch. And a lot of people are like, oh my God, you have a beautiful website, you have this. It was not like that in the beginning. We were literally putting together every single thing for 2 months because I couldn't reach the designer.
And also
my husband was literally, what?
Your husband drew your design, correct?
That's Aneley, yeah. So he was literally sitting there holding my hand. I was crying my eyes out, and I was like, I don't understand. We paid them what they wanted. We gave them the deadlines. They know what to do. What's going on? And he's like, Yelena, everything is gonna be fine. Just stop freaking out. Stop going crazy. You're gonna have your dream. It's gonna happen. November came. Finally, the designer called back. You know, I don't know if it's gonna happen. You know, at that point, I was so stretched thin that, you know, the little kids, the work, everything was just so much that I couldn't handle little hiccups. Now I don't care. We messed up the designer messed up the boxes, and I already launched them, and I was like, whatever, we're gonna roll with it. We're still launching it, but I had to get here. Same thing with social media. A lot of people are like, when I tell them, why aren't you on social media? Like, oh my God, it's easy for you to say. Actually, not really. I started out on social media, and my followers helped me grow. Because I would wear, like, if you watch those videos, you'll see I'm wearing my sunglasses. I'm not looking in the camera. And they're like, hey, look in the camera, you know? And like, oh, you just take off your glasses because the light reflects and it's, oh, okay. So I learned as I was growing. So the whole point of the story, I mean, we can talk for hours, you know, the story has so many ins and outs, but to kind of give you, I guess that last piece of advice, if you have a family, right? Or if you're planning to have a family, make sure that if you're starting a business, two things are happening. You have somebody that can financially support your household.
Emotionally as well.
Emotionally is very important, but financially is even more important.
Yes.
You got to pay the bills. You got to send your kids somewhere, right? And of course, number two, who's going to take care of your children? Who is going to be there for them? Right? You can't, like a lot of single moms, and God bless you. Oh my gosh, it's like probably the hardest job. Single moms and single dads. Let's not get rid of that whole category. But single parent households that are growing their business, it is super, super hard because you have to cook for the kids, you have to grow the business, you have to do the interviews, you have to do the social media, you have to do 100 million things. If you're a single parent, you have to be very strategic in what you're doing. That means if I am, as a 2-parent household, trying to figure things out with my partner, right? Like, okay, so at this hour I'm doing live, at this hour I'm doing this, you hold the kids. You as a single parent need to write down, when is the best time for me to go live so that I am not absent from my kids and I'm also not losing my sanity. So if it's going to take you a little bit longer to grow, let it happen.
Right.
Just let it happen. Don't run. Don't run. The name of the game is not how much money you're going to make. The name of the game is how soon you can spend more time with your children. And, you know, hopefully if you decide to ever have another spouse or a partner, how much time you're going to spend with them, because you're always going to have obstacles, whether you're a single parent, whether you're a partner,
right?
Do you have a partner? There will always be some things that a universe is going to throw your way just to test you, just to tease you, just to see if you can handle it. Social media is a big animal, right, Marina? You can get the more you grow, the more people feel like they can pick on you. You know, those keyboard warriors who will never tell this to your face, but they're like commenting away, and they're like just telling.
That's an extra view for me. So for me, go ahead and comment away.
Right. And so a lot of times it really destroys your confidence. But I want to tell you, if you're not ready for it, make your profile private. Go live to 3 whole people, your mom and your sisters. I don't care, but do something every single day consistently that will help you outside of your comfort zone. Don't think that all these women, all these men that are now big shots that have so much to say on social media literally were born with it. It is not true. It is not true. It is the biggest lie, you know. Yes. I don't think I'm the most successful. I don't think I'm at the point in my life where this is it for me. I have so much more to grow, and I have so many big dreams ahead, and I'm a visionary. And and Marina, you know, when you have vision, like a big vision, sometimes you kind of get ahead of yourself and think, why am I not there yet? But then you have to remind yourself, but I have 4 children. I have a religious household. I have a husband. I have other responsibilities.
You have to be ready to be there as well.
Yeah. And another question that I get all the time, do you feel like you're doing it, like you're giving your 100% to your business? No, you can't give 100% to your business. Then what about the rest of your life?
Right.
What's going to happen?
Your business also.
You have to create the balance. If it's 30-70, then it's 30-70. If it's 20-80, then it's 20-80. If it's 50-50, okay. You know, and remember, kids grow up. That's the good news. They grow up, they're going to go to school. You're going to have more time. Be very intentional and very strategic.
Absolutely. I mean, like I said, I have a lot of friends that are asking me constantly, how does she do it and everything else. And again, just to piggyback off of what you said, as far as single parents are concerned, like myself, on one of my interviews, I said that I do not regret being married, and I do not regret being divorced, because everything taught me and prepared me for who I am today and where I am today. Because I think during marriage, I was just trying to find myself, so nothing really worked. But at the same time, my husband and I were just not perfect for one another. That doesn't mean we're bad people. It just means that the lessons that needed to be learned within that marriage were at that time, you know, with that person. So after I finally got my, I guess you could say, freedom, I actually became a much better mother, a much better person. And where I am today only literally happened because I was a single mom. So no, it was not an easy road, but like you said, it doesn't have to be 100% of the business, because as you see, I cannot do this. And I do not purposely make the time 100%, because I'm also working on 100 other things that I'm so passionate about, like, you know, children's books and children's music and cartoons and all that. And I'm like, all day long, my mind is rushing. And I'm like, you know what? I said to God, you just, sometimes when I don't know what's going on, I'm like, you know what?
Take the wheel.
You know where I need to go. Hold my hand, because I'm going. I'm not stopping. And today, exactly. And like, like I said, for women like you, huge inspiration, you know, because you are, I guess, a true definition. Like I said, I have religious girlfriends who are also married with also 4 children, and they're doing the same thing you're doing, but they're like, oh my God, but she's also running a business. How does she do it? And I'm like, listen, as long as you are on the right path with family wise, and you have a person in your life that actually supports you, you guys can build mountains. Because at the end of the day, you remember my slogan on my channel means in every stage there is a blessing. And I met so many people in my life who were so unhappy because in the stage that they were in did not bring them millions or did not make them successful. I'm like, but you learn something from that stage, because if you make a million overnight, you're going to lose that overnight as well. But when you appreciate what you get, whatever it is, because, you know, if I'm not making my million, that's because I'm not ready to receive it yet. If I'm not happily married, or I'm not happily in a relationship, or I don't have a good connection with my children, that's because I need to work on something else. God constantly gives you the same issues over and over again until you understand. It's like a test, right?
Yeah.
You can keep taking the same test until you understand the problem.
Until you pass it.
There. It's like when I was in college, I literally had the same question on every exam, and I'm like, oh my God. And I'm like, okay, I understand why it happens, because it's also my personality. I just brush it off, and then until you face it. And you know what? The most amazing part in life that I learned is that when you face it, you're like, oh my God, the world didn't stop. Like, no, it didn't, and it won't, you know. And every single thing that every person goes through in life, I guess from both of us as moms, at the end of the day, we are, whether we're married or not, we're still mothers, and we're making it work. It doesn't matter if you have a successful YouTube channel today or eventually you're thinking about it. What matters is that you start from somewhere. You just continue going, because every single thing, like, I'm not even kidding, even to turn on the camera or turn on there's something wrong. And every time there was an issue, there's always it's not a problem, it's a solution. There's a solution every time there's a problem. That's what it is. Problems are experiences that you have to learn from. That's why they're there. So everything that you had overcome, you persevered. And I know your husband personally, because we met first, and I'm like, the first time when he came to me, I was like, you're gonna be with my older sister. No, he told me, I'm gonna be with your sister. I'm like, no, she won't, because she's not gonna be religious. And he said to me, watch me. I'm like, okay, fine. Yes. He's like, watch me. I'm going to marry your sister. I was like, she will never be religious. Let it go, Donnie. He's like, nah, watch it. So when you guys met, the first thing you told me, you were like, but Marina, he's religious. I'm like, Lena, let it go. Because at that point, I was like, I know he's not going to let it go. And maybe for one that split second in my mind, I was like, well, maybe he is for her, because he looks like a genuine, he kind of reminded me of our grandfather, my dad's father. So I was like, that personality trait, I don't know why, I just saw something like a soul that's just for our family. And I was just pushing you. I was like, Elena, he's for you. I don't want to hear it. And you know what, at the end of the day, I have seen both of you grow together, because it's important. Unfortunately, between me and my husband, we did not have that connection, but not because we're bad people, but because we were just not for each other. Like I said, I had to go through my lessons, which I'm very happy. And you went through yours, and it worked out for you, because technically speaking, you are both very dominant. But the most important thing is that you know how to work together, because God knows you're both like,
we're very, very
like all day.
Yeah.
So again, listen, I just want to say I'm very, very proud of you as a younger sister, because we both know that when I was growing up, you know, that other life of mine, you was always there for me. And there were times when I didn't know which road to take. And I remember there was like in the beginning, in my youth years, I just said to myself, I don't know what to do in the situation. And I remember you basically just went on your white horse and you fought everybody just to protect. And you did the same thing for my sister, my twin, right? And then our brother, and you do this for everybody. And like every time I see people and talk to people, everybody said, oh my God, Lena is like a mother to everybody, and blah, blah, blah. Like, you are an amazing person. I don't know if you actually understand it, because you do a lot for everybody. You are there for one another. And I remember when I had like sciatic nerve, literally after every child, and you would come in the middle of the night and give me a massage and to help the pain go away. I don't want to cry because yeah, I don't have that waterproof makeup today, but I love you so much. And I'm so honored to, who knew I was going to have this channel and interview my sister, right? But I don't want people to be afraid of making that step, because as a single mother, I was scared, because at some point I did not even have a job. I was home with the kids. It was remote learning, pandemic. And I was just like, well, if I'm still here and my kids are with me and we're safe, I just mentally let go of everything, because my friends were like, how did you do that? I said, well, everything was already ground zero. So I was picking up the pieces, fixing one thing at a time. And after 3 months of being unemployed, I went to my friend's business and I got a job right there. So I just said, the time that I don't have something, I just tell God, thank you, because that's the time I spend with my kids. So I, as a single mom, like you said, I make time for them when I'm fully able to, but because I'm a single mom, I cannot always do 100%. So
no one can, and no one should. It's fine. It's
yes.
fine.
You do your best at the end of the day.
That's the most important thing. If you really, you know what kids really need? They need our patience, they need our guidance, they need our love.
Yeah.
That's it. There's no magic pill, you know? When people ask me, how do you do it? You just do it. You play a game of whack-a-mole a lot of times, you know? the problem arises and you're like, all right, we'll deal with this. There's something else. You know, when I do my lives on Monday nights, my kid would come out and ask me some crazy, Mom, where's the straw?
Yes.
Like, I am live, Eta. Like, I am live. And I can't scream like Daniel, like that one kid got out. I can't. And I'm like, and he's like, Mom, I just have a quick question. I'm like,
yes.
I am live from 8 to like 8:45 one time a week. And now you need to know where the straw is.
But exactly.
Like the end of the, so I'm like, okay, honey, it's over there. Oh my God. And then you kind of get like, you lose the thought. Everything is just whatever. It's just, you know what? But I'm so happy that this is what I have to deal with, because with each child, you would think, oh my God, like that's another stop in my life, another stop in my life. But for me, I'm like, oh, cool. So now what? Because I was so trained by the universe, by God, to just roll with it. I'm like, I'm rolling with it, you know? I'm just gonna roll with it. And there are a lot of dips in business, right? This is not an overnight success. Yes, now we're international. Now we have a lot of accounts. Now we're known. We have followers. How did it start?
Right.
How, you know, between the beginning and now, if I didn't hold on and I didn't say, I am still going to continue.
Yes.
I wouldn't have
never
it.
know. People do not know. And believe me, you know my story. Like, I used to work for somebody literally for free. And I was only there. And I remember how many times everybody would tell me, just quit the job. And I'm like, I can't, because I know that this is where I'm supposed to be. But all those promises just went from like literally down the drain. So then you realize, I'm like, so instead of giving my 100% to somebody else, I'm going to give it to me. And I didn't even know where to start. And then through my friends and my, you know, some of my closest friends, and even some of my, like our cousin Maria was actually one of the few people that I called. And she was like, oh my God, that's a great idea to do like the YouTube channel. Because I know so many people. And also I'm a very talkative person. You know, I could become best friends with somebody in 3 seconds. Yes. So when I talk to people, I'm like, wow, your story is inspiring. And I'm like, why not bring regular people to my show and let them know that just because they see you as this, oh my God, how did you do it? You started from nothing. Your salon being, you know, burned to the ground, basically, where you invested so much. Yeah. An accident or this happening, all the doors were closing. But that's, like I said, because everything is divine timing. And as long as you believe in God, and as long as you believe that there's a light at the end of the tunnel, and use your children as a flashlight and your hope, it's there. My husband. Your husband too. Listen. God bless. You never know.
Really, it's a blessing. It's a blessing that we push each other's buttons at the same time, as often as we grow. Like, meaning in a good way. Like you want to push each other's buttons in order to nudge the person to do better, right? And a lot of times, like if we're getting into this whole marriage talk, which is a big question, a lot of times I get asked, and a lot of people misinterpret our relationship a lot of times, like, oh, you're the man in the house. What does that even mean? Like, I don't understand. How do you become a man in the house? You are partners. You can't compete. You can't step over each other. You are partners in life. When one can do something, the other one can step back, and then vice versa, right? And because of the way we are, and maybe this is going to help other relationships, I don't know, but try to listen to each other. You don't have to be like this old-fashioned, old school gender roles and this. Yes, of course there are gender roles, and there will always be gender roles, because a kid needs a mom, kids need that warmth, but kid also needs a dad, right? So sometimes kids don't always get both parents, but one parent can try their best to focus a little bit more time, even if it's an extra 15 minutes at night before bedtime, to read a story. You have no idea how far it's going to take your relationship with your children, how far it's going to take. Spend 15 minutes a day talking to your spouse and just be honest. Honey, I really want to do this. Let's figure out a way so we can do this. And the other person actually hears you. And if they don't hear you, you keep trying. Remember, it's two different worlds are combining together, right? Completely different worlds. You're trying to build something. I always tell my husband, I was like, we don't come from the same family. We don't come from the same household. We don't come from the same beliefs, from the same culture, from the same nothing. I mean, even siblings in the same household can be completely different. Look at me and you, right? You have your own ambitions. I have my own understanding of life. You have your own. It's not like one is right and one is wrong. No. But when you come together as a partners, you can't just push your own agenda. It doesn't work that way. So if you want to have success, I treat my household as I treat my business. I want it to grow. I'm going to nurture it. I'm going to give it time. I'm going to make sure that I don't yell at my kids. I don't lash out at them. I want to watch me, I'm obsessed with Korean dramas and Turkish dramas. And sometimes I just want to come home. I don't want to be bothered. I want to watch a movie like 9 o'clock at night. I'm coming home from work exhausted, but my son wants to nurse and he's running to me. I'm not going to shove this kid. You know me, I'm so patient with my children. I'm so incredibly, I don't even know where on earth it's coming from, but I'm taking that baby and I'm putting my phone away. He doesn't care how much money I make. He doesn't care that I went live. He doesn't care I worked all day. He wants to nurse and he wants to hug his mama.
Or mama, read me a book.
Mama, massage on a story nonstop. I'm like, oh my God, I'm running out of ideas. So I'm actually glad that you're writing books, because I read the book. If you guys don't have her book, you have to get her book, Pagadon, or what's the name of it?
The Adventures of
Pagadon. That's all I remember is Pagadon for some reason, because weird names we remember, but the normal English names we don't. Marina, I actually love talking to you. Thank you so much for having me. It's really, I'm blown away at what you do. I think you should continue, get more people on here, with versatile stories. It doesn't always have to be something negative or depressing. It could also be a really interesting, I mean, you know this better than me, and I think you should continue. I wish you so much success, and you're going to be great. You've always been, I think this is what we share as siblings, all four of us, is that we are very supportive when we need to be. And we can also be missing in action for as long as we don't, like, you don't need me, I'm cool, So I love that synergy between us siblings. And yes, there were a lot of things that happened with you, with Irina, it's life, whatever it is, right? And people can always poke at people, but I always think, you know what, if you need content to talk about, I guess I'm happy to help,
Call me.
No, meaning like, a lot of people yap behind people's back, and I'm like, if I can help you with content, that's great. Like if I'm the reason why you're actually having conversations, like, okay, great. Otherwise you wouldn't have anything to talk about. It's probably mean, but that's how I stay sane. So I just learned to just roll with it. Just because your sibling has a different path, it doesn't mean there's something wrong with you necessarily, or something like you didn't become a, I don't know, makeup guru. fine. So what are you doing? Let's
Right,
create
right,
that synergy. So Marina, good for you. Thank you for having me. I really enjoyed this
Thank you for coming.
conversation. And yeah, so good luck to you, my love.
I love you. Thank you so much, baby.
I love you too, my love. Bye,
Take
everyone.
care. Bye. Thank you.